Hello, I'm Sumati Sharan, founder CEO of Ladle, your personal sous chef to help women nourish themselves in midlife. I've built Ladle for me, and I've built Ladle for you. Women going through perimenopause and menopause, juggling multiple things, jobs and careers, raising children, and aging parents. And today I'm joined by Dr. Sophia Yen, and together we're going to talk about how food and medicine can together help you. And with that, we're going to have Dr. Sophia Yen. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me here. As a daughter of an immigrant mom, I tell everyone out there claim all your titles. So, I am a physician. I trained undergrad at MIT, UCSF Medical School, Children's Oakland to specialize in pediatrics, back to UCSF to specialize in teenagers, what we call sex, drugs, rock and roll, a little acne, some sports medicine. And then to finish more degrees in the Bay Area, got a MPH, Master's in Public Health, focusing on maternal child health, focusing on obesity, and then finished up at Stanford, where I'm a clinical associate professor in the Department of Pediatrics in the Division of Adolescent Medicine. And about 10 years ago, co-founded Pandia Health. Our goal at Pandia Health is to make sure no one runs out of birth control in our watch, but also to provide expert peri/menopause care wherever you have internet and a mailbox.
Wow, what a resume. That's fantastic. And I love the fact that you're constantly learning and growing. Also, the immigrant journey as an immigrant myself, I completely can understand and empathize with that. So, talking about menopause, I think women are trying to understand it's important, but it's still under discussed. And as you have women come in to see you, what are the misconceptions? What do you wish they knew sooner? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think it's important for people to understand first the basic definitions. Number one, menopause is defined as the 1 year anniversary of not having had a period. And perimenopause is the time leading up to that 1 year anniversary of not having a period. And perimenopause to me is like limbo because you get a period and then you go 3 months and you're like, am I there? Am I there? And then you get some blood and you're like, oh no, restart the clock, right? And then you do it again. And then you go 6 months and you're like, ha ha, ha ha. And then no, you get another period. And you're like, oh no, another, like, I gotta wait until it's a year of no period. So that's number one. That menopause technically is the 1 year anniversary of not having a period for a year. And for all those who haven't gone through it and all those that will never go through it, that it is this limbo that just like is irritating and stressful. And then number two, know that perimenopause on average lasts 4 years. Certainly it could last 10 for some people, but that's uncommon. More likely 4 years. So there's a lot of for profit companies trying to stress women out and be like, I met a perimenopause and started at 30. It could, if you were one in a million, like a lottery winner slash lightning strikes you, but in general, no. The average age of menopause is 52. And then if you subtract 4 years, 48. And then there's variation, so maybe 43. But do not be freaking out about perimenopause in your late 30s, even like 42. Like, even most people won't hit you till 48. Certainly can happen before that, and some people it does, but don't let these for profit companies freak you out. Okay. And then by definition, there's so many people like, my periods are weird. I'm tired. Yes, as women, our lives suck and our periods get weird if we're stressed out, if we don't eat enough, or if we eat too much, if we gain weight, etc. It may be perimenopause, but it may not be. But the definition of perimenopause is your periods must be abnormal. So if you're having a period every 28 days, every 30 days, every 35 days, that is by definition not perimenopause. But if your periods used to be every 30 days and now it's like 35, sometimes 21, it has to be a plus or minus 7 day difference from your regular, then okay, I will give you perimenopause. Or if it's been 2 months, it's a minimum of 60 days of no period, okay, maybe perimenopause. But I also want to check thyroid. I also want to make sure that you're eating and not losing a ton of weight or not gaining a ton of weight. So those are some basics. And then a lot of people are afraid of estrogen, and they've heard that estrogen causes breast cancer. Just so you know, the Women's Health Initiative in 2002 scared all the doctors, all the women against estrogen. Now we have 20-year follow up. And there were two groups. One group that got estrogen only because they didn't have a uterus. And so we think that if you don't have a uterus, you don't need progesterone, which is to counter the estrogen's effect on the uterus. This group that only had estrogen actually had decreased breast cancer and decreased risk of death from breast cancer to the tune of 22% decreased breast cancer, 44% decreased death from breast cancer if you got it. So we don't think it's now the estrogen in this case. We think it's the progestin, which was the synthetic progesterone they used in this old study. And now we no longer use that synthetic progesterone. We use bioidentical, micronized, FDA approved, FDA tested Prometrium and its generics, and that has not been associated with increased risk of breast cancer. Certainly, the stat is 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, but the group that's on estrogen only compared to the group that's not have the same 1 in 8. It's not an increased risk because they took estrogen. Progestin, that's a different thing. And with micronized, no increased risk of breast cancer. How did you think about the woman in midlife specifically? I mean, one of my biggest frustrations as a doctor is that I can tell a patient exactly what to eat and nothing changes. What makes Ladle different with respect to nutrition advice? I mean, I think we should all put the elephant in the room, or just the thing that people may not know is we as physicians have no education on nutrition. Like, I have no training on nutrition. What I have learned has been through my obesity clinic, has been with working with nutritionists in eating disorder clinic, in morbid obesity clinic, and listening to lay people's lectures. I think that with Ladle, there's so much amazing opportunity and customization. So please share what you've thought about with the woman in midlife.
So there are a couple ways I can address this, right? When one, you're talking about women in midlife in terms of the nutritionist piece, and then the other piece is how do we make their lives easier? Because as we mentioned, women in midlife are dealing with lots of things. Like life is busy. Juggling jobs and careers, kids. You're juggling, aging parents. We are
Aaron's.
the sandwich generation, right? And luckily, we're adding a recipe, a meal planner that will allow people to plan ahead of time. But nonetheless, it's really stressful. Like time is short. And so we're adding a lot of things to our mobile first web app that makes it easier. And I'm actually really proud about this is you have the ability to come to Ladle, choose a recipe, personalize it, and order ingredients on Instacart all within 60 seconds. So really excited about that. So one is we are making it easy and simple for people to do. You come, you can choose a goal like hormonal health, you can get a bunch of recipes, you have step-by-step instructions to cook the recipe. So again, getting feedback from women, we've gotten to hear from what is important to them, what would make their lives easier. So they're recommending features like what's in your kitchen. You take a photo of your refrigerator and we can tell you what to cook with the ingredients in your refrigerator. Or you can take a recipe, you can personalize it, and you can order ingredients from Instacart. So from your favorite store, you can get the ingredients and you can work with that. In terms of the nutrition piece, what we are doing is when we're doing more and more work around this is we have curated these recipes based on your preferences. So if you go to Ladle, you have goals like hormonal health or heart health and other health goals. It'll show you all the recipes that fall under that. So those recipes are following guidelines, across macros, across ingredients, and we're actually going deeper. This is where technology is really helpful because we can figure out what are the parameters we want to set up. We're going to start adding micronutrients and all the other stuff to make it actually better and better. And the thing important to also understand, Dr. Yan, is Ladle is also a nutrition adherence platform. So we are actually working with some health organizations for different metabolic conditions. So Menopause is one of them, but then you can also think about, diabetes and others, where based on what you're cooking and eating, we break down, what nutrition you're getting versus what is recommended for you. And then, we can actually see how that is adhering to that and how that impacts your health. So Ladle, the app, is built on that same platform. And as we build more of that adherence piece of it, that's going to go back into Ladle. So women over time will be able to see that, hey, when I'm eating this way, how is that impacting my health and what can I improve? So both with the ease of use, the features, the ability that this solution has been designed by a woman just like you, and the fact that it is based on a backbone that is focused on nutrition. It is a solution that we are building for women who are going through perimenopause and menopause.
I think that's amazing and so useful and important. And I love that, you're helping women's lives be easier. Sounds like you're bringing nutrition to wherever Instacart can deliver, but also wherever women can get help with recipes and meal planning. And it's not just women, it's everybody in the household.
Yeah, and actually, to your point there, accurately, I mean, as much as I don't like the sexism around that, but women tend to bring things into the household. I mean, we are the primary caregivers for our children typically. So if we are eating healthier, they're eating healthier. And has number of my colleagues and advisors and people have told me, my wife, based on what she cooks, we all eat better. The thing is, it's not just for women. Our focus is on women in perimenopause and menopause. But again, anyone can come and basically tell us their parameters and they can cook healthier for themselves. So yeah, really excited about that. And I think I also have to admit that I'm really excited to see the fact that today we have the ability. I mean, that is where things like these LLMs are helping us, right? We can take large amounts of data and we can actually pull it together and do something specific to a small task. But the biggest thing that I really love is the ability for it to personalize it specifically. What is right for you is different from me, from what is different for somebody else. So apart from that and what we learn about you, we can really actually personalize that experience for you. I actually wanted to ask you, where does Little fit into your recommendation to your patients? And where do you see the approach to food as medicine fitting into everyday cooking?
I think that exactly as you said, food is medicine. And if you are eating unhealthily, that is not good for your health. If you're eating too many carbs, if you're not eating enough protein, the focus is to build muscle and not necessarily to lose weight. Though certainly if you are overweight, obese, and have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, then you definitely might need to lose a little bit of weight. But really it's making sure that as we age, that we make sure we have enough protein and enough muscle to pull on our bones, to prevent osteoporosis, to maintain our bone density, to live as long as possible but as healthy as
Yeah.
possible, and to avoid heart attacks and strokes. And Ladle seems to me an obvious partner in terms of, at the very least, can help you analyze maybe what you're eating as well, in addition to suggesting what you can make and maybe opening people's minds. I think there's so much that people's health could benefit from looking at healthier meals.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, with the population with 60 to 75% of people, being overweight or obese, we can definitely, if we can move the needle a little bit, can you just imagine how much difference that could make? And, also as your point, and I'm laughing and chuckling a little bit as you're saying that it's really not about losing the weight. It's about having muscle in your body. And I think people still don't realize how much issue things like osteoporosis can be. I mean, I remember having an aunt who literally, as she got older, could not move few steps. And that was not very many years ago. That was just a few years ago, right? So I think the whole idea of, what is healthy is an important thing for us to think about.
Amazing. I did want to add a question. Where do you see Ladle going and how can people access Ladle?
So, one exciting thing is that we are launching a new web app actually the next couple of days. We're going to be at app.ladle.cooking. One of the reasons we've kept it as a web app right now, it is a mobile first web app, is because we're making lots of changes. We keep getting feedback. We have a feedback form on it, and we keep getting feedback from people, and we keep incorporating new things. One of the new things we just put together was what's in your kitchen. You can actually take a photo of what's in your pantry or what's in your kitchen or your refrigerator, and we will break that down into ingredients and then recommend different recipes for you, and
I
also the
love it.
other. Yeah. So we really want to get feedback from our users and keep making those changes, so we can actually build something that is useful for people and people are going to use that. And in terms of the future, right, so we are really focusing on women going through this transition on the B2C side. At the same time, as I mentioned, we are creating this nutrition adherence platform for other metabolic conditions on the B2B side, and we are talking to we're working with and talking to other healthcare companies, so, talking about companies that are providing care or payers or others to be able to really help kind of understand, as you mentioned, clinicians are not being trained in nutrition. They understand, and as you probably know very well, food is medicine is a philosophy that is being championed by a lot of healthcare organizations, but they don't have a way of capturing adherence or making recommendations from that. And we're really excited that we are building this so we can show them adherence. We can show them, and we are doing pilots with a couple different organizations. It's like, this is what you're recommending, this is what the patient's eating. And the beautiful thing about that is it's not just even what they're cooking, but what they're eating. And I won't go into all the technicality of that, but we are able to capture what they're doing. And with the adherence piece of it, what I'm really excited about is people can also, not just the doctors, but the users, the women are going to be able to see, hey, what am I eating? What am I supposed to be eating? How is it impacting me? And what do I need to make for changes for that? So that is, if Ladle can actually help people as they're navigating a lot of these conditions and have better lives, I would be very excited about that. But yes, right now people can go to app.ladle.cooking and please check it out. And if you like it, sign up. I look forward to seeing you there. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Yan. Thank you so much. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new, and it is always
Oh,
wonderful to do that. So, absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for listening to us. And if you have any questions for Dr. Yan or myself, please reach us at info@ladle.cooking. Thank you so much. Bye bye.